Welcome back to the virtual County Sumner Irish Festival. I'm Barry Young, Director of Tourism for Sumner County. And if you would like some more information about your visit to Sumner County, go to our website, visitsumnertn.com. Today is Tasty Tuesday, and that means some delicious Irish treats from Celeste at the Go Go Gourmet in Gallatin. Let's go see what's cooking.
Well, hello and welcome to the County Sumner Virtual Irish Festival. My name is Celeste Davidson. I'm the owner and operator of the Go Go Gourmet. This is my assistant Christina. She's going to help us out today. We're a local catering company here in the Gallatin, Hendersonville area. And today we have been asked to come to you all for Tasty Tuesday and make some of our favorite Irish dishes, give you some tips and show you how to do it at home. Next year we'll be at the festival in person having these tasty treats for you all to try. First dish we're going to make for you all is going to be some corned beef and cabbage. Can't have St. Patrick's Day without it, at least here in America. So the key to corned beef and cabbage is corned beef, of course, which you can get usually at any local market. A local butcher is always preferred, and we have a great one here in Sumner County. So definitely find that in your area or go to your local market and get just a flat cut corned beef brisket. We have one right here. When you get your brisket and you open it up to get ready to get started cooking, find this little packet. This is very important. This has all the yummy little flavors inside, and you'll want that. You're also going to want some apple cider, some Guinness, cabbage, and some Irish butter. You can use any butter, but of course we're using Irish today. So when you make corned beef and cabbage, I prefer a nice heavy pan. This is a Le Creuset. A cast iron would be great, but at the end of the day, any kind of deep pan you can put in and you can cover tightly into your oven will work. The first thing you want to do is get your corned beef. Christine, I'll let you take that. You can basically just take your corned beef, put it in your pan, and get your seasonings and kind of wipe those right onto the top. That seasoning packet is very important. Sometimes it hides in your package. Also, when you're preparing any kind of piece of beef like this, you want to put your fat side up. That helps the fat kind of marinate the meat as it cooks and flavor it really nicely. So now we're going to take some Irish butter. Again, you can use regular butter. I like the Irish butter. And we're just going to take literally, maybe about 2 or 3 tablespoons. And we're just going to plop it right on top of our corned beef brisket. And then, Christina, if you want to do a Guinness,
sure.
You're going to pour about a half can of Guinness right on top of your brisket and into your pan. If you have a larger brisket or if you want to put 2 briskets in one pot, if you're serving a crowd, you just want to pull that Guinness up to a couple inches into the bottom of your pan. That's perfect. And then lastly, to me, this makes all the difference in the world, is a little bit of apple cider. You can just get this at the market. Any kind of apple cider will do. And you want to pour that in, add that to your Guinness. You want your brisket covered about halfway into your pot. Okay, so we're going to take our brisket. We're going to lid it tightly. If you don't have a pan with a lid, tin foil will do. Just make sure it's nice and tight. We're going to put this in the oven for a few hours on 325, and then we'll show you how to do the cabbage. So after 3 hours at 325 in the oven, you'll want to pull your corned beef out. You can take a knife and just kind of do the test, make sure it's kind of tender in the middle. It's going to cook a little longer once we add the cabbage, so it doesn't have to be falling apart. And actually, you don't want your corned beef to fall apart. Slice is nicer for presentation if it's just cooked through. You're going to add your chopped cabbage kind of around it down into the broth that it's made. When you're cutting your cabbage, you want to think of like cubes. So I usually half my head of cabbage, and then I go this way and then this way. Not too big, not too little. And just place that cabbage all around your roast.
I'll borrow this knife from you.
Making sure it goes down into the juice a little, but don't worry if it's not covered because we're going to add some more.
Okay, and then we're going to add some pats of butter as well.
Probably about another 2 or 3 tablespoons. just kind of spread it around. You can use your hands. Keep your hands washed, of course, at home, or wear your kitchen gloves.
Good.
After we put the butter around, we're going to add just a little more of this yummy apple cider.
And what does this do, actually, to the dish?
So the apple cider is something I kind of came up with several years back. I grew up eating corned beef and cabbage. It's my favorite. My mom just unpacked it, put it in a pot with some water and the seasoning packet and boiled it, and it was delicious. Of course, I wanted to get a little more involved with it, so I started adding the Guinness, which is a typical thing a lot of people do. And then I like the undertone of a sweetness to it. So I did the apple cider one day. The apple cider has a sweetness. The Guinness has the nice stout, savory flavor mixed with the corned beef, and you can't go wrong. The one thing I have found with this recipe is you can add your cabbage to this. You can add carrots if you like, but don't put your potatoes down into the apple cider. Do your potatoes
They just fall right
side.
apart.
Well, the apple cider blending into the potato just doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to lid this again, and we're going to put this in the oven for about an hour until the cabbage is nice and soft. So you want your corned beef to be fork tender and cooked to a temperature internally of 145 degrees using your meat thermometer. Fun thing about corned beef and cabbage, it's an Irish dish that actually came from the Irish immigrants when they immigrated to America, and up in the New York area, the Jewish community and the Irish community really melded together. And so a lot of the kosher butchers would take the beef brisket, which was so popular here, and use the kosher salt to preserve it, and hence became the corned beef that the Irish took over and kind of added with the cabbage and the Irish flavors. And that's what we know today as corned beef and cabbage. Okay, and then when you cut your corned beef, just like a brisket, you want to cut against the grain. That makes it taste so perfect. Just slice it up, ready for you and your guests to enjoy. And if you have any left over, it's never happened in my house, but this makes for a great Reuben or corned beef hash the next morning. So that is your apple cider and Guinness braised corned beef and cabbage for your Tasty Tuesday. So continuing on with our Tasty Tuesday for our County Sumner Virtual Irish Fest, we are going to show you how to make some beef and Guinness pie. This is a dish that they will be eating in Ireland on St. Patrick's Day. It is definitely a traditional Irish dish, and it's delicious, and it's not as hard to make at home as you might think. So your main ingredient for this is going to be beef. Again, you can use lamb, but we're going to use beef today. You can buy your beef cut, like a stew cut at the market. I like a larger chunk of beef in my Guinness pie, so I buy the chuck roast and cut it myself. Again, a local butcher can help you out with that. They can cut it for you to your liking or give you a good piece of chuck roast that you can cut yourself. You can also use brisket. If you happen to have that or want to use that, it works as well. So once you gather your ingredients, you're going to start with some butter and some onion. We're going to keep using our Irish butter, that Kerrygold Irish butter, but again, any butter is good. Just make sure it's butter, not margarine.
We're going to add about 2 scoops.
Yes, Christina, we're going to do about 2 scoops of butter, about 2 tablespoons. And then we're going to do, I would say, about 2 nice teaspoons of garlic. You can do some fresh pressed if you like. We use the minced. It works fine.
Perfect.
And then we're going to do about 1/2 of an onion, largely cut.
Put that aside.
Yes. If you want to get that sauteing, Christina, I'll keep going with the rest. Okay, so you're going to saute that butter and that onion for about 10 minutes. You want the onion to kind of soften up and get translucent, the butter to get nice and hot, and the garlic to kind of meld into the flavor of the onion and the butter. While that is sauteing, you can get your veggies chopped up. We're going to use some fresh celery, some carrots, a little bit of mushroom. You're going to do a large chop like we've done here. You can peel your carrots, or I can show you a little trick that I do, and that is I literally take my knife and I just run it down the carrot to just give it a nice quick peel, quick and easy. And then once you do that, you just do a nice large chop. You want your carrots pretty big because they're going to cook for quite a while. If they're too small, they'll disappear. And then we're going to chop our celery. Again, a nice large chop. So once you get your onions softened a little in the butter and the garlic cooked a little, like I said, about 10 minutes on a medium-low heat, you're going to add your largely chopped veggies, celery, carrots, mushrooms to the mixture and saute that for about 15 minutes until it softens up. Okay, so you have your veggies, your onion, your garlic, and your butter all sauteing in a pan, marrying those flavors together. While that's going on, you want to get your beef, your chuck roast, cut to your desired size, or get your pre-cut stew meat together. And we're going to put it in a bowl. This recipe calls for about 3 pounds of meat. You're going to liberally salt it. I use kosher or sea salt exclusively in my kitchen. For this recipe, I'm going to use kosher, but sea salt would be fine. Some pepper, couple pinches of pepper will do it just great. And you just want to get that coated onto your beef very nicely, just like so. I think a little more salt would be good. And what the heck, some more pepper. Then we're going to take about 2 tablespoons of flour. Put it right in that beef. You don't have to toss this in a separate bowl. You can throw it all in the pan. But I'm going to toss it. I think it makes it a little bit easier. And then we're going to add this to our veggies, our butter, our garlic, and then finish it off with some rosemary and some Guinness. Okay, so we're just going to put the meat, flour, all that salt and pepper just right into the pan. Saute that around. We're going to do about another tablespoon of our butter. Turn that fire up, and we're going to do a whole sprig of rosemary. Just let it sit in there. We're just going to saute this stuff. You want all the meat, flour, salt, and pepper to kind of incorporate into your vegetables. Once that's done, you're going to cover your meat mixture with Guinness. Yum. And you just want the meat covered, the meat and the veggies covered with the Guinness. After your beef and Guinness simmer in the oven for about an hour and a half, you're going to take it out, stir it, test it, put it back in for about another hour. Again, you want your beef to be fork tender. This time it can fall apart a little bit, and you want it cooked to about an internal temperature of 150 degrees. Once that's done, you're going to pull your beef and Guinness, basically a nice hearty stew, out. And we're going to wrap it in some puff pastry. You can make puff pastries yourself, or you can buy them in the freezer section of the grocery store, which is what I suggest. They come in sheets. You want to lay your sheet out while you're preparing so it gets nice and defrosted. And you want to pull it just a little to make it a little bit more thin. You don't have to pull out a rolling pin or anything of the sort. And then you're going to we're taking just a simple little pie pan. You can get creative. You can do a casserole dish. You can do little mini muffin pans. Just put your puff pastry down in the bottom. You want plenty billowing over the sides. And then you're going to fill it with your beef mixture. Yes, ma'am.
Super hearty.
Yeah, it looks so good, and it smells really good.
It smells delicious.
Y'all can't smell it, but trust us, it's good.
A little bit more. How's that?
Ooh, and I have some Guinness left. Let's pour a little bit of Guinness in.
Doesn't hurt.
That'll kind of marry in
Perfect.
as it bakes a little more. And then I kind of pull mine and twist them a little, just to get kind of creative. Doesn't really matter. You just want to top the pie with the puff pastry. I like it, as Christina says, kind of rustic, to where it peeks through and your pastry looks all yummy. Lastly, you can melt some butter and brush the top of your puff pastry, or you can spray it with butter spray or Pam, but you want just a little something on top there, mainly to give it a nice golden color as it bakes.
Fits. Ready to
Yeah.
stick in the oven?
Yes, ma'am. If you'll pop that in the oven, we're gonna bake that at about 400 for about 20 minutes till it's nice and golden. So here's our Guinness, beef and Guinness pie with the beautiful puff
Gorgeous.
pastry around it. Look at that.
Perfect.
Perfect. Top it with a little bit of our leftover rosemary. There you go.
It looks so complicated, but it's not.
No. Okay, now we are gonna cut into this bad boy. I could go for some beef and Guinness pie. Again, I'm Celeste, owner and operator of the Go Go Gourmet, a boutique catering company in Hendersonville, Gallatin area, just north of Nashville. We have enjoyed being a part of County Sumner's virtual Irish Festival and hope that this Tasty Tuesday treat brings you some joy and you're able to make these recipes at home. See you next year.
Wow, that looks delicious. Thanks to the Go Go Gourmet in Gallatin. As a matter of fact, we have plans for the Go Go Gourmet to join us at our next County Sumner Irish Festival, Saturday, March 5th, 2022 at Bledsoe's Fort Historical Park to do a live cooking demonstration. We hope you'll join us too. Coming up tomorrow, it's Way Back Wednesday. We'll see you then at the County Sumner Virtual Irish Festival. Join us for the Gallatin Shamrock Run, Saturday, March 13th, 2021. Join us for this fun run through historic downtown Gallatin, Tennessee. For more information, go to active.com and look for the Gallatin Shamrock Run. Music this week has been generously provided by 4 Leaf Peat and Deaf Leprechaun.